Greetings of SUNCARD19, and here's our pick-a-pile reading based on the question of steps to move on. So what steps do I need and how can I move on? Here we go. So what I want you to do is just focus on the pile that's best for you. Focus on the pile that's going to give you the information that you need at this time. All right, here we go. So this first pile is carnelian. This middle one here is red garnet. And this one here is a smoky quartz. So what I want you to do is just focus on the pile that you believe is going to give you the information that you need. The pile that's going to speak to you, or the one that's caught your attention, or the one that you just like to pick. So 1, 2, 3, just sort of visualize on it. Focus on the one you want. And here we go. Greetings of SUNCARD19. And up first here we have the carnelian reading. Here we go. So at first here we have the Two of Swords reversed. This is a card that indicates that you were still sort of at a crossroads where you're not even totally sure if you should leave, or you're not even convinced that maybe this thing is over. And so what I would say for this card is saying that really do that sort of dive deep, that sort of deep sense of, really go in and calculate and look at yourself and say, is this thing really over? And if you don't believe it's really over, that's part of the reason why you may have trouble moving on. And this is the crossroads. It's sort of the stuck between two places, stuck between this sort of the fork in the road, and just like really just standing there and being like between two minds and saying, you know what? I may feel like I need to move on. I may feel like I'm ready to move on, but I'm not really in that place where I can move on just yet. Which leads us here to the Nine of Cups and says that there's a part of you, there's a big part of you that's just wishing that this thing could sort of last, or could sort of can go further. So there's like this big sense of hope, even though you may feel like the relationship might be over. You're just holding out on hope for whatever reason. So it's a big deal. It's just this big sense of hope, but that hope could be blinding you. That hope could be sort of keeping you stuck, because is it your hope or is it the actual reality? Like, how often are you really looking at what's actually happened? What are your actions? What are the other person's actions? What are they really saying? What are they really doing? Not necessarily what you want them to do, not necessarily what you hope for them to do, but just looking at their actions alone and not interpreting any intentions behind the actions, but just saying, is this person behaving like someone who wants to be with me? Is this person behaving like someone who that really is really interested in me? Which leads us here to the Six of Swords reversed. And this is a card, the Six of Swords is a card about finding peace and about creating peace. And so what this card indicates that you got to find a part in your life where the peace is the most prominent thing, the order instead of chaos. And so what the Six of Swords reversed to me represents that you're misrepresenting, or you're sort of how do I say this? You're underplaying or undermining the amount of stress and chaos that maybe this relationship has brought to your life, and the amount of just sort of how much you really haven't been at peace. And so the steps to move on here to me is focusing on your own peace. Not necessarily how lonely you may be or how hurt you may be, or just sort of maybe wanting to be with somebody or be with this person. And those are really natural emotions. Those are very realistic emotions of wanting to be with somebody or wanting to get back with somebody. Because you've invested a lot of energy into something. You definitely want to feel like you got your time and efforts worth, and that maybe it's easy to be hopeful for a relationship after the fact, because you get a chance to sort of reflect and say, well, it wasn't all bad, or it wasn't all terrible, and I can sort of be glossy about it, and be nostalgic about a relationship after the fact. But what the Six of Swords reverse to me represents is it's a chance for you to actually find peace, for you to sort of find calm and steady waters. And so this chance to find peace, this chance to seek and be, you know, in a place where you have a lot less stress, a lot less emotional baggage, a lot less roller coaster lifestyle. And so those are the things that we forget in a relationship. It's like, oh man, it was like such a head case, how much energy I had to put into trying to figure this person out, or trying to figure out, like, are they upset? Are they mad? Are they tired? Like, what are they going through? And I just was in such a roller coaster that I wasn't sure, you know, I until it wasn't until the relationship was over that I sort of found a more calm and steady, peaceful life for myself. And things started to like relax, and I sort of got into a groove, and I found a new baseline, a new normal. And so even though you may be thinking about the relationship in positive light and positive ways, thinking back on it and stuff like that, and sort of going back and saying, I really want to be with this person. The way, the steps to move on here is to focus on your own peace and focus on your own level of being able to have a lot less stress, and just think about, like, wow, you know what? My stress levels and my level of peace in life has much increased since this relationship. So to me, that would be the step, or the ticket to moving on, is being able to really process and think about, how much more emotionally stable and how much more peaceful you are on this end of the relationship. So that would be my advice towards moving on. I'm Elijah SUNCARD19. Thanks for letting me read for you. Be sure to hit the like button, comment to me why you chose this reading, what it meant to you. Be sure to subscribe, share this to other people, and I appreciate you being here. Love and light. Peace. Greetings, I'm Elijah SUNCARD19, and this is the second reading based on the red garnet. Here we go. Up first here we have the Two of Cups. Next here we have the Six of Pentacles reversed. And last we have the King of Wands. And so the question here is the steps to move on. The Two of Cups the Two of Cups reversed. This card indicates that there may have been a really strong and serious relationship, and for some reason it got twisted or turned upside down. And so somehow the positive benefits and all the things that the relationship sort of stood for you and what it meant to you got turned on its side for some reason. And so somehow things just sort of, I think that there's like signals got missed, or crossed, or some sort of here with this Two of Cups reverses. The Two of Cups usually represents people that are on the same page, people that are getting along, people that are sort of being in a very exchange mindset where, I give to you, you give to me, I give to you, you give to me. And that balance got disrupted for some reason. And what usually happens is, in these cases, that somebody starts to take more than they're giving, and then it becomes a taker in a relationship and a giver in a relationship. And that system can only last for so long because one person gets burnt out and the other person sort of gets in a state of resentment because they're not giving back, and they feel like the person stops giving to them, and so they're at fault for some reason. Like, well, why'd you stop giving? You stopped giving. It's like, I've been pouring into you. You're not giving me anything. Like, you take, I give. So it's like, there's sort of that imbalance or mismatch of communication where, there may be just two people who are unsatisfied because maybe one person is giving, the other person is just taking, and there's no fairness, there's no balance there. Which leads us here to the Six of Pentacles reversed. And so this is a card where, again, it was just in a situation where things just got turned upside down. And the Six of Pentacles has a lot to do with generosity. It's a lot to do with giving freely. And I feel like they just somehow this relationship moved into a state of, selfishness, into a state where there was no more reciprocal action. And it sort of became, well, what can I get from this? Or what can I get from this person? So how can I use this person, or how can I take away from this person? And so it became very like utilitarian, where it was like, this person is in my life, they're useful because this, or they're useful because that. Not necessarily I enjoy them or want to be around, I appreciate them, I love them, but more like I could get this from this person, I could use them for this reason or this end or this means. So it became sort of lopsided. And last leads us to the King of Wands. And the King of Wands is someone who is supremely confident in themselves, and they're like really, really like a powerful person. So to me, what this card says that is, remind yourself, step back into your power and say that because I'm a powerful person, because I'm exciting and energetic, and I'm someone who just enjoys life, and I enjoy being around people, and I enjoy just the social aspects of life, because I'm energetic, because I'm someone who's extremely, extremely confident, I can put myself back in a situation where I can build and develop a new relationship, and I don't feel like that was my chance. The King of Wands is someone that says, this king has the ability to create and build a positive, happy, and lasting relationship. And they don't have to feel like it was just, that was the one, like that was their one chance. They have the ability to seek and establish and build new relationships, to where the loss of one relationship, although it may have been important, and not necessarily devastating. So it may be emotional, it may be harmful, like it may be emotional, it may hurt, but it's not a devastating lifelong effect where this person is sort of shell-shocked for the rest of their life. The King of Wands is someone who's going to brush themselves off, they're going to get back up, they're going to start over, and they're going to be open-minded, and they're not going to go into their next relationship where they're just maybe going into dating with somebody and sort of blame the next person for all the last person's fault. The King of Wands is swift-minded. They're able to move on and then continually judge people fairly. So just because, you know, you've been in one relationship where it may not worked out or it may not have been great, or, you know, whatever, it may have been a falling out, doesn't mean that every subsequent relationship is going to be the same way. So it's a fair, clean slate kind of card. It says, okay, let's rebuild, let's get to the next one, let's do what we got to do, okay? So overall, my advice here for the question of steps to move on, or how can I move on, has a lot to do with understanding that signals got crossed. There may have been a mismatch or imbalance in a relationship where one person was giving and another person was taking, and there was no reciprocation, there's no balance in the relationship, which led to, it's going to lead to a lot of different problems, which eventually could ruin or end the relationship. And lastly, it leads us to this King of Wands. This is a supremely confident card. It's a card about someone getting back on their feet, being someone who's energetic and happy and excited and ready to move on and go and do better things with their life. So they're very, very supremely confident, and they're ready to go. Okay, so just take that energy with you, rebuild yourself back up, put yourself in a position where you're able to seek and find and maybe date or be in another relationship. I'm SUNCARD19. Thanks for letting me read for you. Many blessings, love and light. Be sure to hit the thumbs up button. Make sure you like this video. Comment, tell me why you chose this reading and what it meant to you. Be sure to share this with other people. Make sure you're subscribed to the channel, and I appreciate you for being here. Have a good one. Peace. Greetings, I'm SUNCARD19, and here is the Smoky Quartz reading. Here we go. We have the Page of Pentacles, we have the Hierophant reversed, and Temperance. Okay, up first here we have the Page of Pentacles. This card is about having a beginner mindset. It's a card about saying, hey, this is an optimal or amazing time for a fresh start. This is permission to have a fresh start, saying with the question of steps to move on or how can I move on, the Page of Pentacles is sort of a newness. It's a very spring-like card. It talks about the idea of being back on the map, in a sense, sort of being able to be found and being seen by the world all over again. So a lot of times what happens is when we get into these long-term relationships, we sort of cocoon ourselves. We put ourselves in a state where we don't want to be seen by the outside world. And so we sort of go inside the house, metaphorically and physically. And so by this cocooning state that we go into with these relationships, we sort of isolate ourselves from our friends and our family. And, you know, we're not as social. We're not going out to happy hours and eating and things like that. Or, you know, maybe not taking as many classes or whatever's going on. Become much more sheltered, much more in the house per se. And what this Page of Pentacles is an invitation for you to go back outside, physically and metaphorically, okay? So literally go for walks, go out, visit places, go to different stores, whatever the case may be, but even do social things as well. So put yourself back on the map. Allow yourself to be seen. Allow yourself to be in social settings or crowded settings where you may connect with people. Go see the friends and reconnect with people who typically, when you get into a relationship, a lot of times we cut our family off, we cut our friends off. And not that we don't talk to them at all, we just may not give them the attention and time that they really deserve because we're typically wrapped up in somebody else. And so, and it's a natural state, ebb and flow of life, things, ups and downs, and that happens in relationships. So typically family members and friends are understanding. They're like, hey, haven't heard from you for a while, but you were in a relationship where, you were pouring a lot of energy and time into it. And, for whatever reason, it didn't work out. But this is an invitation to get back on the map, which brings us here to the Hermit card reverse, which says that you've sort of been hidden. The Hermit card is very secretive and very sort of behind the closet, not the closet, but behind the cloak or behind the veils type of card, where the Hermit reverse is a lot to do with sort of just being in the shadows and being in the background and being on your own. And this card is the invitation to bring that light back out and say, hey, I can come back out. I can be seen. I can be back on the scene. I don't have to be afraid. I don't have to be in the shadows. I can go back out and enjoy myself, again, physically and metaphorically and mentally as well, where a lot of times we're sort of in relationships or hiding because we don't necessarily want to be around like a lot of people don't want to be around the single crowd or the party crowd because, that may not be the best thing to be in when you're in a relationship. You try not to put yourself in those situations too much. But now is an opportunity to put yourself back on the market per se. Not being so barbaric in that sense, but really putting yourself in a place where you can sort of let your hair down or, again, metaphorically, just enjoy yourself and go back and say, hey, let's just dance and have fun and be around people. Well, this leads us to the Temperance card, which is a good opportunity to get back to balance, a state of balance where you don't have to be on the scene and partying all the time, but you can be on the scene and partying some of the time. And you can be around people and be social and have fun, and you can balance it out. And the Temperance card is a chance to sort of, not overdo it, obviously, where you're going to go party every like 3 or 4 nights a week and be irresponsible about it. But it's an opportunity to say, hey, let me just get some chances to go out and have fun and not overdo it, but enjoy it while I'm out. So the Temperance has a lot to do with being in the moment and being very balanced with life. So, the work hard, play hard type of card, and just sort of being a little bit more carefree but also being responsible. So you can be both. You can be carefree in terms of not worried about life, but also be responsible in handling your daily life. So you're not like going off the rails or being irresponsible. So this Temperance card is a chance to say, hey, let's start over. Let's be more balanced. Let's live the life you want to live in your next relationship. So whatever your ratio of going out and friends and whatever that may be, or alone time, whatever that balance looks like outside of a relationship, you want to do the best you can to maintain it inside a relationship because that's your comfort zone. That's your space where you want to be. So overall, I feel like this is a chance to get back on the map. This is a chance to be back on the scene. Allow yourself to go out literally and metaphorically and literally physically as well. And so you're allowing yourself to be seen again. You're sort of blossoming all over again because it's a chance to start over. It's a chance to not be in the background and not necessarily be behind the scenes, but to be back on the scene. So your steps to move on are allow yourself to feel a sense of balance in your life, the sense of the opportunity to go and be social and be friends, and then a chance to pull back and be alone again. So you get a balance between party time and alone time, and you don't necessarily have to play the background anymore. You can allow yourself to be seen. I'm Elijah SUNCARD19, thankfully to read for you. Many blessings, love and light. Be sure to hit the like button, make sure you comment. Tell me why you chose this reading and what it meant to you. Be sure to subscribe and share this with other people, and I appreciate you being here. Love and light. Peace.